Internal ear. The internal ear is situated in the petrous part of the temporal bone, deep to the tympanic cavity. It is basically a closed system of fluid-filled intercommunicating membranous sacs and ducts which lie within complex intercommunicating bony cavities and canals. It consists of two parts, an outer bony labyrinth and an inner membranous labyrinth. Bony labyrinth. The bony labyrinth consists of a series of intercommunicating bony cavities which lie within the petrous temporal. It contains the membranous labyrinth and is filled with perilymph. It is about 18 millimeters in length. The bony labyrinth has three parts: cochlea, vestibule, and three semicircular canals. Vestibule. The vestibule is a central ovoid cavity in the bony labyrinth and lies between the cochlea in front and the three semicircular canals behind. It is situated medial to the tympanic cavity. The lateral vestibular wall communicates with the middle ear cavity by the fenestra vestibuli, which in life is closed by the footplate of the stapes and annular ligament. The medial vestibular wall presents two recesses, a spherical recess in front and an elliptical recess behind. The two recesses are separated by the vestibular crest, which splits inferiorly to enclose the cochlear recess. The spherical recess lodges the saccule and is perforated by a foramina for the passage of the lower division of the vestibular nerve. The elliptical recess lodges the utricle and is perforated by foramina for the passage of the upper division of the vestibular nerve. Inferior to the elliptical recess, there is an opening for a bony canal called the aqueduct of the vestibule, which reaches the epidural space on the posterior surface of the petrous temporal. The vestibular aqueduct transmits the prolongation of the membranous labyrinth, the saccus, and the ductus endolymphaticus. The anterior vestibular wall bears an opening, which communicates with the scala vestibuli. The posterior vestibular wall has 5 openings for the 3 semicircular canals. Semicircular canals. There are 3 bony semicircular canals: anterior or superior, posterior, and lateral. They are situated in 3 planes at right angles to each other. Each canal is about 2/3 of a circle and is dilated at one end to form the ampulla. The anterior semicircular canal lies in a vertical plane at a right angle to the long axis of the petrous temporal. Its anterior ampullated end communicates with the vestibule anterolaterally. Its posterior non-ampullated end unites with the upper non-ampullated end of the posterior semicircular canal to form the crus communae, which opens into the vestibule. The posterior semicircular canal also lies in a vertical plane parallel to the long axis of the petrous temporal. Its lower ampullated end communicates with the vestibule and is innervated separately by a branch of the vestibular nerve. The lateral semicircular canal lies in the horizontal plane. Its anterolateral end is ampullated and lies close to the ampullated end of the anterior semicircular canal. Both the ends of this canal open directly into the vestibule. Thus, 3 semicircular canals open into the vestibule by 5 openings. Membranous labyrinth. The membranous labyrinth is a closed system of intercommunicating membranous sacs and ducts which lie within the bony labyrinth. It is filled with endolymph. It presents with a cochlear duct, saccule, utricle, and 3 semicircular ducts. The cochlear duct lies within the bony cochlea. The saccule and utricle lie within the bony vestibule, and the 3 semicircular ducts lie within the 3 bony semicircular canals. These 4 parts are interconnected in the following ways. The basal turn of the cochlear duct is connected to the saccule by the ductus reunions. The saccule and utricle are connected to each other by Y-shaped utrico-saccular duct, which expands to form ductus and saccus endolymphaticus. The utricle is connected to 3 semicircular ducts through 5 openings. The sensations from cristae, responsible for kinetic balance, and maculae, responsible for static balance, are carried by the vestibular nerve, while the sensations of hearing from the spiral organ are carried by the cochlear nerve. Saccule and utricle. The saccule is a small globular membranous sac which lies in the anterior-inferior part of the vestibule. The utricle is an oblong membranous sac and is larger than the saccule. It lies in the posterior superior part of the vestibule. The saccule is connected anteriorly to the basal turn of the cochlear duct by the ductus reunions and posteriorly with the utricle by a Y-shaped utriculosaccular duct. The vertical limb of the Y continues as the endolymphatic duct, or ductus endolymphaticus, and its dilated blind terminal end is called the saccus endolymphaticus. The endolymphatic duct passes through the aqueduct of the vestibule in the posterior part of the petrous temporal. Its dilated terminal end projects onto the posterior surface of the petrous temporal, beneath the dura mater of the posterior cranial fossa. The utricle receives the three semicircular ducts posteriorly through 5 openings. Semicircular ducts. The three semicircular ducts, anterior, posterior, and lateral, lie within their respective semicircular canals. They open into the utricle by 5 openings. Each duct has one dilated end called the ampulla. The ampullary end of each duct has a raised crest, the crista ampullaris, which projects into its lumen. The peripheral receptors in the saccule, utricle, and semicircular ducts are as follows. Maculae. These are sensory receptors located in the medial walls of the saccule and utricle. They sense the position of the head in response to gravity and linear acceleration. This is known as static balance. Cristae. These are sensory receptors located in the ampullated ends of the three semicircular ducts. They respond to angular acceleration. This is known as kinetic balance.